You were never loud about it. You didn't throw things, or scream, or make anyone uncomfortable with your pain. You just got smaller, quieter. You learned, somewhere between 7 and 11, that the safest version of you was the version no one had to deal with, and you have been performing that version ever since. What happened to you has a name, and the name is not shyness. It is not introversion. It is not just the way you are. Stay with me, because what I am about to tell you will explain something about yourself you have spent years trying to find the words for. You know what invisible children become as adults? The person everyone calls mature, the reliable one, the one who never complains, never asks, never makes it about themselves, the one everybody leans on and nobody thinks to check on. That is not strength. That is a survival strategy that outlived the thing it was built to survive. Here's how it starts. There's a window, roughly between ages 6 and 12, where a child's brain is literally wiring its default response to vulnerability. Not in theory, in neuroscience, in actual neural pathways. And for the child growing up in a house where feelings are ignored, punished, or treated like an inconvenience, the wiring that forms in this window becomes the operating system for every relationship they will have as an adult. The child does not learn this consciously. They learn it the way you learn a language, by immersion, by repetition, by the particular way a parent sighs when you cry, by the silence that follows when you say you are scared, by being praised only when you are easy. And the lesson the brain writes down, without any words, is this: your inner world is not safe to show. So the child adapts. Brilliantly. They become fluent in other people's emotional temperature. They can read a room before they enter it. They apologize before anyone is even hurt. They make themselves useful because useful feels safer than wanted. They stop asking for things not because they stopped needing them, but because asking once taught them something they did not want to learn again. Now here is where it gets uncomfortable. That child grows up, gets older, gets a job, gets relationships, gets a life that looks, from the outside, completely fine. But the operating system is still running. And the adult it produces has very specific, very recognizable patterns. They cannot receive a compliment without immediately deflecting it. They feel a vague guilt when they rest, like stillness has to be earned. They attract partners who are emotionally unavailable, not because they are broken, but because emotional unavailability is familiar, is the frequency they were calibrated to. And when someone genuinely, fully, without conditions loves them, it does not feel like love at first. It feels suspicious. It feels like a debt forming, because somewhere in the original house, love always came with a condition attached, even if the condition was never spoken out loud. There's a specific adult behavior that comes directly from this, and almost nobody connects it back to childhood. It is the inability to know what you feel in real time. Not processing slowly, that is normal. Actually not knowing. Sitting in a moment and having no access to your own emotional state, as if there is a delay between what is happening and what you register. Psychologists call this alexithymia, emotional numbness, as a learned response. The child who is never allowed to feel freely becomes the adult who eventually stops being able to feel clearly. And they walk through their life competent, functional, deeply tired, and faintly unreachable even to the people who love them most. This is the part where most content tells you to heal. Do the work. Go to therapy. Practice self-compassion. And none of that is wrong. But I want to say something more specific than that, because you deserve more specific than that. The rewiring does not begin with a technique. It begins with one act, and that act is identification. Naming the thing, saying out loud, or even just to yourself in a quiet moment. This is what was done to me, this is what I built to survive it, and this is not who I actually am underneath it. That separation between the wound and the self is where everything starts to shift. Not because naming heals, but because the child who learned to disappear spent their entire life being told, in silences and absences, that there was nothing worth seeing. And every time you name it, you are telling that child something different. You are saying, I see you. I came back for you. You're not too much. You were just in a house that was not built to hold you. Subscribe because the next video goes directly into the moment that survival mode stops protecting you and starts costing you. And that conversation will not wait.